Great, man. Well, I got to see all the links you sent over. Absolutely phenomenal. And now you have to remind me though, because first let me just give. By the way, Ralph, there is over like 30 people in my circle that want to hear about your story. First of all.
Okay.
These are people who just in real estate. Some have done some deals. Most of them are just up and coming. And you know what? I remember, and you can share your story in a minute, but I remember when we first started working together, I don't think you had done a real estate deal, especially a rehab. Is that correct?
I've done personal ones. I bought the house. I did some, and I kept them long term. The intent wasn't to flip. My intent was to buy it, put my children in it, keep it as an investment. And those were in a self-directed IRA.
Okay.
And I sold one, made some decent money. Then that's when I got started thinking about, hey, I should do this and make it a career 5 years from now. Matter of fact, I'm going to start my real estate license next week.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good for you.
And work.
And work. I know. So kind of let's start off with you kind of sharing a little about your background and story, just a little bio. Take a few minutes and just freely share, your background, how you got started, how you got interested in real estate, and where you're at today.
Okay. Well, I'm a corporate career guy. I worked in the steel industry for 24 years. And when the economy went upside down in 2008, I was in Michigan and I relocated to Florida for work. And that's when, all the opportunities for real estate, were abounding. But I missed it because my goal was to find work, take care of 5 kids, and maintain the standard of living. So with that, I moved. I eventually sold the house in Plymouth, Michigan, and started a career in Florida. I continued a career in Florida, different industry. And currently I'm a director of procurement for a Fortune 500 company. And how it all started, I was in 401k. My money was in the stock. And it just keeps bouncing around. And, I'm in it for 20 years and probably grew 4% overall, with the collapse. So I said, there's got to be a better way to this. Yeah. And just talking to some people, I decided to put 50%, not 50%, but a good percent of my 401k into a self-directed IRA. I was talking to my CPA, and he recommended Equity Trust Company out of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Unbeknownst to me, that's a company that a lot of investors are affiliated with, including yourself. Uh-huh. So I set up a self-directed IRA and purchased a house and a condo. And the house was they were both intended for long term. And then when the market started taking off, I sold the house. I bought it for $185 and I sold it for almost $250. So with that money, I kept in the self-directed IRA. Now I says, I got to take it to the next level. So then got flyers in the mail, for tax lien certificates, tax deeds, and equity trust. So I trained for both. I says, I got to get some professional training in this. So the equity trust, that's where I met Larry Goines.
Okay.
And I pursued it. And, at first, I went to the inner circle training and came back and I said, now what do I do? The market's changed. Inventories are tight. We're probably it's stabilized. We're probably at the top of the bubble, so to speak. It's stable. And there was a lot of frustration, is there really any opportunity in this? That was in my mind, making offers, nothing's being accepted. So I never give up. And I started reaching out to other people, started networking, and I met some people that are doing it locally in my Florida market. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm at today in terms of I've got 3 flips, 1 sold, second one's going on the market today.
That's great.
Starting demolition on the 3rd yesterday. And looking for the fourth one as we speak.
Wait. Well, we have to slow down. Hold on. I mean, it's all great, but I want to dive a little deeper into the part where, because when you and I working together, I remember our phone calls of, frustration. Where can I find the deal and how am I going to get the deal? But you went from, and you can correct me and give me clarity on the amount of months here, but we're not talking too many months, but you went from one deal to now looking for your fourth. Can you
Correct.
just talk a little bit more about that? And
it's persistence. There's always a market, up or down, and there's deals out there. You just got to find them, and you got to network to find them. I mean, so I hooked myself up with wholesalers.
Okay.
I hooked myself up with real estate agents that know what I'm looking for as a real estate investor. I'm not paying retail price. I'm looking for off-market deals that they can't list.
Right.
I'm looking for motivated sellers that they know. Because the homes, I just sent you a link this morning on currently what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
One house is the next house I'm going to pursue to say, hey, Joanne, what's the history of this home? I don't want, if it's owned by a banker and it's a short sale, it's going to be tough duty. But if it's a good motivated seller, I'm going to pursue it, do my due diligence, and make an offer. And like I was taught, you don't get anywhere unless you make an offer.
Right. Exactly.
And the ratio, the way I look at it, you got to take 25 no's to get one yes.
Oh, wow. I like your ratio. 25 no's to get one yes. I like that.
But I mean, it isn't going to be easy. You can't give up.
Right.
And you can't blame the training.
Right. I want to clarify something here that comes up very often. I work with people some people have money, some people don't have as much money for marketing. But let's talk about how you acquired these deals. Like, how did you get it? Like, did you do direct mail, yard signs, postcards? What did you do?
The first one I got, I went to a 2-day local RIA seminar.
Okay.
And I'm sitting, and I met a lady that was a real estate investor. She's quit her full-time job. So me and her had some common discussion. I'm doing the same thing. She's an engineer. She said, I quit 5 years ago, and that's the best decision I made. And I'm sitting there looking at her, scratching my head saying, are you sure? and then all of a sudden, we over the 2 days, she said, Ralph, I'd like to work with you. And I said, by all means, I'm looking for, the first deal. She came to me with a wholesale deal. She was the wholesaler. Okay. And I said, well, I'd like you to have some skin in the game. You being a wholesaler, all you're going to do is assign a contract to me, and I got all the rest.
Right.
For this first one, to see how, you learn a little bit about me, I learn a little about you. Let's do together the rehab.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. So we did. That's the unit number one. And we sold it. Right now it's being appraised and going through financing.
And just out of curiosity, because I want to also display some of the properties that you sent over to me, was that the property at 3540 Colleen Drive? Is that the one?
Yes, that's the first unit number one.
Okay, great. So while you continue, I'm gonna share that here right now.
You got that's the house, and also you got a video before after. You could show that, but that's the house.
I saw that video. Yeah. Actually, let me pull up that video here right now.
Do the video because that tells the story of what was involved with it.
Yeah. Let me expand this a bit and show this video of the before and after. Good job on the video, though.
Yeah, that's my company that I set up for the real estate.
Yep.
And this is the project that we worked on together. We put a new roof on it.
Right. How much did the roof cost you?
That was $8,000. There's the back lanai before. It was a mess. It was.
Yeah. And this looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, you did such a great job, you and your team. This is a great looking property. I can't wait till the pictures come up when you go inside. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, that's that fence on the right.
Just compared to what it was.
That fence on the right was a disaster. We restructured it, power washed it. There's the lanai afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some tape, but we're finished touching. This is before. This is kind of. I did some trim. There's the inside. We retextured, re-drywalled, redid the bathroom. You'll see we cut this wall out in the kitchen to give it open because it's kind of a small kitchen.
Okay.
And you'll see the next slide there's the bathroom. There's the finished look of the. See that one area on the right there? That used to be a closet. We opened it up because we had to move the refrigerator over. So it was a restructure a little bit. There's the kitchen.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, the kitchen is great. It's such a great job. Looks open and spacious.
That's the living room. No, that's the back bedroom. That's a master bedroom. That's the bedroom.
Master bedroom.
And there's a story to tell on this one. This is the back room. Go back. Oh, we can't. But that back room had wall paneling. We didn't tear the wall paneling out. We textured it and just drywalled over it, so it don't even look like there was wall paneling behind it to save some money.
Right.
That's the room there. You can't
even tell.
Can't even tell. And that's one of the bedrooms. So it was new ceilings, new drywall, and so, not all new drywall. We just textured it. There's the bathroom that was finished.
I love what you picked for the backsplash there in the bathtub, in the bathroom.
This was a shed that was full of garbage. There's another shed right there full of garbage. 2 sheds.
Oh my goodness.
And then you'll see there it is finished.
Fantastic. So let's go over the numbers a bit so people can understand like what you picked it up for. I'll go through the pictures while you do that. But what did you pick it up for? Rehab costs, holding costs, and what you're selling it for?
There's what we picked it. Well, it was 144. We actually picked it up. I don't know why that number's still in there. That 148.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was the. I don't know what that number was. That's what we're. I don't know why that's like that.
I'm not sure either. Yeah.
Oh, I know what it is. We had it listed for 149, and with the buyer, we increased the agreement price to 152 to cover his deposit, and it's going through financing. So that's the net amount to us.
Okay.
And we paid $74,000 for it.
You paid $74,000, and how much was the rehab?
The total rehab, inside outside, was about $34,000.
$34,000. That brings us to 108.
So we're splitting. Well, with some holding costs, we had we had 2 months mortgage, about $1,200 in insurance, and some utilities. So we're splitting about 35 grand. So I'm netting out $16,000.
$16,000. That is huge. And you did that, you said, in 2 months? You got this whole project done in 2 months?
We got it done within 2 months, yes.
That's fantastic.
The second unit we got done in a month, and that's a different story there, but I'll tell you that one in a minute.
Is that this one here at 33 Mary Lane? Yeah.
What happened with this one, that first house, the roofer brought in a drywall guy to do the ceilings, and I met him. We started talking. Me and him became partners.
So really?
We partnered.
In what way, though? In what way?
And then this house here, I said, hey, I'll get it. I'll cover the closing cost. I'll buy it. And you do the rehab. You cover the cost of the materials. You cover the cost of the labor. At the end, we sell it. What's left over, we split 50-50. And this guy is a general contractor, so he can get permits. Matter of fact, he called me this morning. We have open house. He's up there looking at the property to make sure the hose is rolled up. I got the realtor putting up signs, open house. They're going to have an open house for me from 1 to 4. And this house, it's a fixed, limited listing. We're paying them $500 to put it on the MLS. We're not.
Okay, great.
And we're not paying them 2.5%, but if they bring a buyer, they'll get 2.5%.
Okay.
Like any other buyer that comes to us, any other real estate agent. So they're getting, their deal is to get it sold. And we got a limited MLS with them. All they did was post it on the MLS, and they asked if they could do open house, and they're putting up the signs for me for no cost.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people are not familiar with that process. You know, some people think when they go to list, you know, on the MLS, they have to go through an agent, pay the 6% commission fees, but there's also what's called flat fee listing.
That's what it's called.
That's exactly what
I lost the terminology. That's what it's called.
That's okay. Yeah. Flat fee listing.
There's like I talked to a couple agents, and all of them would have done it. I mean, it isn't something you got to twist some arms. They'll say, yeah, I'll do that for you. Right.
Exactly.
And that's a full rehab. That house, we put new flooring in, we painted it, put some new doors on it, new fans. The kitchen's a complete rehab, and the bathrooms. So it's a similar type of project.
It's absolutely beautiful. My favorite part about this was the master bathroom. I don't know exactly what you used here, or I'm just going right back to it right now. Both bathrooms kind of look similar, but you did something here. It's just this color. And is that with no glass? I mean, tell me about this, because to me, I think it looks European. It's not so much, you know, the traditional doors and shower doors that are pretty common, or the bathtub, you know.
Everything you see there is from Lowe's.
Fantastic.
And the contractor that's my partner has a special deal, and he's got some very good pricing, and everything you see is product from Lowe's.
Wow, yeah. And that pricing, a lot of people don't know about that. That's also known, I think it's called the Pro Desk. It's also known as Pro Pricing. And you can get things a lot better discount than just walking through Lowe's and picking out things. But, you know, if you're working with a professional, then you can get those great discounts. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely phenomenal. So walk us through the numbers with this one and what you guys are going to look at since you're listing it today.
We bought it. I got it for $150,000.
All right.
It's listed today for $259,900.
Okay.
And this one we got a little bit more because it's a bigger house. It's about $46,000 in.
All right. So you're 46 in. What was the total that you were in on it? Sorry, the total amount of expense?
I bought it for $150,000.
You bought it for $150,000.
We got 46 rehab
to it.
And it's listed today. And this is a 1-month deal. This guy got in and out within a month.
And you're listing it today for what, $260,000?
$260,000.
Dang, if you get this thing sold at that retail price, you both together would be around $60K, about $60K of profit.
Right.
Right.
He's there at 9 o'clock this morning checking out to make sure there's no dust or anything on the floors.
That's awesome. And you know what? I want to stress something that's so powerful here, Ralph, which many people just kind of overlook. You did something that most people, I think, are a little afraid to do, which is get a partner, right?
Yes.
And delegate what you want done, someone else to do who has experience. So you brought your part into the deal, and you found someone else who would bring their part to the deal, someone with experience. Can you talk to us a little bit about how, not just how you found him, but how did you know your partner was good for this deal?
Well, first of all, I guess it's the corporate training I've had. I've always built a team around me that's successful. And especially if you're getting in a new adventure, I'm not going to be the guy that says, hey, I bought 30 houses, but I lost every one I lost money on. And that shed was
right.
That shed, we were going to take it down. He completely did it with a hardy panel and put a new roof on. He said, he comes to me and said, Ralph, you want to do it? He says, that's an added advantage to the homeowner. Place the store.
Absolutely.
And he did that. He rebuilt it. He stripped it down. He put a hardy panel on it, and it made it decent. And he painted the same color as the trim of the house. So
exactly.
And but to get back to your story, is I wanted to surround myself that people were in the business already. because, I want to be able to learn, I don't know everything type of guy. And I got to learn from people that are in it, like yourself. You got to network. You got to go out and reach out to people. And you always want to hook up with somebody that's smarter than you. That's my train of thought. And I met this guy, like I said, on project number 1. I saw his work that he was doing on the roof and the texturing of the walls. And we started talking. And how we really became friends was, I go down there one Sunday, we're cleaning up the back, and he's got some tools inside the house. There's a big box of garbage bags, heavy duty, large garbage bags, probably about $40 a box. So I said, oh shoot, I could use these in the backyard to pick up all my stuff. Okay. So I didn't know, I wasn't thinking at the time. So I come back, I meet the guy, and he says, Ralph, I'm missing a box of garbage bags. He looks at me, and I said, I could have said I never seen him. I says, you know what? I used them. and he says, you did? I said, yeah. And that night I went to his house and gave him a check for $50. And from that point on, the trust developed, the friendship. So that's how we became partners.
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
little extra, I could have said, I don't know what you're talking about, Rami. I never seen him.
Right.
That's how it developed. But, like to get back to your point, I always want to hook myself up with people that are experienced and know more than me. That's the goal. And that's how I met him, and I met the first real estate investor. Matter of fact, the first real estate investor I did unit 1 on, she come to me and said, hey, Ralph, would you lend me 30 grand as private money? And I said, yeah, if you give me, and she offered the terms, 12% interest, 5% on the backside, and I'll pay it off within 6 months. And it all came together. She wrote me a check for $31,500. We shook hands, and she says, I'm looking forward to doing the next deal with you. And that was another side note. I lent some private money as well.
Yeah, that's great.
On my 401k.
I know. I remember you telling me you wanted to do that and look for those opportunities. I just want to clarify something, which a lot of people, who watch this will be asking about raising private money and whatnot. You said you shook hands. Any legal contracts you had in place for that, or was it just verbal?
No. I had to, with equity trust, there's a whole procedure. You got to sign a promissory note.
Okay.
I had to have a mortgage, a collateral on the house.
Right. Correct.
That she did. So no, I did it all through the 401k equity trust. They guided me through the process. I didn't have to do. I followed the rules and regulations. Yes.
Absolutely.
I just shook hands saying thank you.
Right. I just wanted to make that clear because that could have sounded like, oh yeah, we shook hands, verbal agreement, here's your money.
No. I followed the guidelines, and I shook hands at the end saying thank you. Next deal.
Yeah. On to the next one. That's great. And now you guys you're working on the third. I have 2 here, but tell us about your third deal, and you're now looking for your fourth.
The third deal, that's being listed today. That's unit number 2. But and that whole wall came down. That was a tear down. Open up that teacher. That was not an easy thing to do. That was a tear out and redesign per Rami. But the third deal was a HUD home. I found a house in Fort Meade. It's a little distance. It's about an hour away. I bid on it, and I got the bid. And
okay, great.
I didn't use the 50% rule. I bumped it up to 65%.
Okay, which is kind of common right now because the way the market is. A lot of people have been getting rejected around 50% or even 40%. So coming up a little bit higher in the first offer, yeah. You picked it up.
And what I'm learning too is the HUD homes, they're getting it appraised, with that Sage acquisition, and they're listing it at retail price.
Yeah.
List prices aren't they're assuming that's what it's worth. They're not taking into account how much work's needed with it. That's one thing you're gonna learn when you start bidding some of these places. They're
exactly.
You got to work it. You got to keep working it.
That's true.
Especially the homes that come up new at 30 days. If you got a house that's 90 days, you might have some room. And I think I got that one. It was on the market for 60 days. The third one.
Okay.
And I'm partnering with Rami. He's demolition. He started demolition yesterday, a drywall. So we're underway.
Fantastic. Wow.
That one I bought for 65. Rami says it's not. See, the other thing, when you do a rehab,
Yep.
you got to rehab based on the community, what the buyers expect, the quality. This one's out in a phosphate industry. We may not go full extent on that home as we did because it's price cheap. We may do 20,000 rehab and list it for 135. That's the goal.
Okay.
You got to take that into account where you're doing the rehab based on what the market expectations are in terms of quality. You got to keep that in mind.
That's true. That's true. And if you do have potentially, I mean, is the days of homes in the area, are they selling pretty quickly?
We're at
in those areas that you're buying.
Yeah, right now this house here, unit number 2, there's 20 open houses today in that market.
Oh my goodness.
So Rami says, well, ours is the best. and I said, you're right, Rami, it is the best. But it's going to be a lot of traffic, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I told him, go buy a bowl of candy. It's Halloween. Put it on the counter. We didn't. And we didn't stage it. We put a welcome mat out, some other things, but we figured let's don't spend the money right now. Let's get some working capital going.
Absolutely. And just out of curiosity, because do you guys put out like a sign-up sheet to get names and emails and phone numbers from these potential buyers, the ones that just walk through? Maybe they'll buy one of your future projects. Do you happen to do that?
Well, this one, they have to contact me to get in. So I asked for a driver's license and a photo that they're a realtor. I keep track of that. But the open house, the 2 realtors, the 2 gals that are working with me will be there and they'll get the list.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
And they're the ones that did it for the fixed fee. They're doing this above and beyond that $500 I paid them for a fixed fee.
Great.
So
how did you get them to do that? Because I know sometimes a lot of issues that investors have is working with agents, that middleman, trying to get the deals done. So how did you get your agent to go above and beyond like that?
Well, I made several offers through them, and they saw the level of detail that I provide. I just don't throw a number out there. I'm just working with them and saying that, hey, you got this house to sell. If you bring a buyer, I'll give you the 2.5%. And they're out there looking. I was talking to the realtor this morning to make sure she was going today, and she said, "Hey, Ralph, I'm going to send you a list of 7 homes that you might be interested in looking at as a real estate investor." I said, "Don't do it between 1 and 4, but do it tonight. I'll be happy."
That's great.
If you get the open house.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I just have to. I guess it's more your personality, how you get along with people and present yourself. I think that's the key. I mean, I just didn't go to them and say, "Hey, I'm the best. I'm an expert." I depend on them for their advice. That's kind of, I use them that way. That's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. You're bringing up a very important part about building a relationship. It's got to be a two-way, value their advice and building that trust. Even if you're working with an agent, attorney, title company, anything like that, it's building that relationship so that they can send you deals. Like you brought up a great part where you said the agent was saying, "Hey, Ralph, I think I got something for you." Right?
She told me that this morning. I said, she says, "Do you want me to send it, work on it now?" I said, "By all my means, you got to get out to that house for open house. Call me tonight."
That's great. That's great. And I wanted to ask you, when you were sharing that, what would you say has been like the biggest aha moment for you, going from actually getting that first investment property to now your 4th? But what has been like the biggest, like, wow, I wish I had done this sooner. What was that big thing for you?
Well, that was it. I said, I wish I would have done this in 08, 09, but my personal, I lost my job with the steel industry and I had other focus with children and relocation. But now that I have the knowledge, those times will come around again. So I'm prepared to get into, these tax deed auctions and some of these other auctions that, it's going to come back. I mean, what goes up comes down, and I'm prepared now, so I'm happy about that. But I think it's just overcoming the fear to write that first check, to put the deposit down and say, hey, I'm in now. Right. That's the big aha right there, writing that first check and seeing the finished product. Yeah,
absolutely. That's very true. A lot of people kind of get stuck on that, whether it's the first offer, making their first contact, making that first deposit, making it right in their first deal out, and getting to that point is not always easy for a lot of people. But what would you say, would you say like your previous rehabbing experience kind of made it like, when you're doing your own home, would you say that helped you making your offers, or?
No, I think on the first home, it's making sure you got a detailed, understood scope of work. Because what's going to happen, you sell that house, here comes the buyer's home inspector, and he's going to find every little thing.
That's right.
And you got to make sure that your contractor knows what the expectations are when a house inspector comes along. For example, I got this HVAC, the condensation pipe, the white PVC that comes out the drains. Hey, this thing's supposed to be 12 inches away from the house. Mine's 8 inches. So I looked at him. I said, all I got to do is put a 4-inch extension on there. I'm in compliance. But that's the detail that these home inspectors, and they go up in the attic. They crawl around. They check the depth of the insulation. I mean, they really, the buyer gets his $300 worth.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing that, when in these next homes, we got to make sure that we know what's coming with the home inspector, and make sure we cover that in the rehab, if we're going to do a rehab.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier about, the trust that you have built with your partners. I want to dive a little bit more into that. And I wanted to ask you, how often would you communicate with your business partner? Yes, they are people who have experience. You found people who have the experience, but how often were you, because you're working a full-time job, so how often were you keeping in contact, and what was your role in the process?
Every day. He calls me and say, hey, Ralph, I want to do this. And we talk, or I go up, I make an effort to go up there, even though I go up there and meet him at the job site, and he's very proud of his work. We go through the whole job, and even if I spend an hour with him at the site, that goes a long way that I'm showing interest. I'm not just there to make $5. I'm there to be with him. And I asked him one time, I says, well, what do you want me to do when I show up? He looks at me, he said, hey, Ralph, you're just going to get in my way. He says, you worry about finding the deals, getting the deals, bring it to me, and then we'll work on the next one. But we do have conversation. Hey, Ralph, do you want me to build a fire pit back there? Do you want me to do the shed? How much money you want to spend on landscaping? So we have that kind of discussion. And then on the first house, I primarily managed that job for the real estate investor. So she was happy that I had the due diligence and took care of that project. That was me full-time managing that thing as I worked it into my other schedule.
Right.
I got some flexibility. I work from home on my corporate job, so I have a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's another story behind that. My boss, he's my, when I go to LinkedIn, he's my #1 profile reader.
Oh, really?
So I said to myself, I better let him know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I go up to a corporate office, I tell him, he's very interested. He says, I want to be your private lender.
Oh, awesome.
He says, I know how you analyze things. You bring me the deal, but I didn't want to do it yet. I want to get 4 or 5 and show him what I've done.
All right, Ralph, you're such a good guy, man. You're always. I remember when we were first raising money together on the phone with your other friends. You wanted to wait till you got something under your belt, but you know what? I believe your private money days are right there. They're knocking at your door.
Right.
They're saying, let me in, Ralph. Let me in. The money's at the door.
Well, that's what I want to do. I want to send the 2 links I sent you to the guy in Detroit and to my boss, just to say, hey, look what I've done. You know,
Absolutely.
and I'm planning that next week. I want to do that.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, because they're knocking at your door and you're like opening it up and you're saying, oh, not just yet, guys. You wait a second.
Well, there's a couple other things.
Yeah.
Virtual assistants.
Yeah.
So I hired an assistant, and what I have him doing is going through realauction.com.
Okay.
For the counties I want to focus on. And I'm saying, hey, research this. Go 2 weeks out because, as you know, homes get redeemed the day before. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. So I said, do some research. Let's go after these motivated sellers. Let me draft a letter that I put the template, send it to me for final review.
Yeah.
And I want to contact these folks to see if there's any interest in me talking to them to help them, you know, because I know they're in dire straits or could be, and I'm just going to offer some help. You know, not that I want to kick anybody out of a house or whatever.
Right.
Just send some letters. If I send 50, if I get one interest letter, it's a home run, and that's what I'm doing now with a virtual assistant.
That's great. That is awesome. You found the problem and you're fulfilling the need.
Right.
That's huge.
And the other issue that I found that most people don't know, when you do that tax deed auction,
yep,
you get an investor that buys it. And the county's only interested in getting the money that's coming to them, either in liens or past taxes. Some cases, the real estate investor like me will pay more for that. If the opening bid's $6,000, they buy the house for $30,000. All the liens are taken care of. There may be funds available to the homeowner. He doesn't know it. So I got this virtual assistant. Polk County, for example, in Florida, has a whole list of surplus funds available. So I'm looking at anything over 20 grand. Let's find it. Give me the home address. Do a letter for me. I'll sign it. I'll send it out, and we'll chase it as a funds rescue agent, because there's money on the table right there. Even if I offer 10, 20, 30%, they get the balance. They're happy.
Absolutely.
I'm pursuing that for funds as well.
Good for you. Good for you. Thinking creatively, thinking outside the box. That's awesome.
Right.
That is great.
That's what's going on right now. And then, you know, I got, if you could share if you want to share my screen, I'll show you something I'm doing right now.
Okay. Hold on one second.
This is the last part of the review I want to show you. Can I do it now?
Yeah, you should be able to do it right now.
You see it?
Yeah, I see that.
Can you see this?
Yes.
This realtor I developed, I says, you know, I'm really excited about Polk County, Lakeland. I says, you know, she's a similar realtor. I says, you know, I don't want to pay retail. I don't want to pay list. I'm looking for homes that meet this criteria. So she prepares a list of homes, and this is the fourth home I'm looking at. This is the house. Tell me what you think as we go through the photos here.
Oh, it looks just like your cup of tea right there. This is right up your alley.
I mean, you know, Rami tells me, my partner, he says, Ralph, nothing scares me.
No.
The kitchen.
Yeah,
so it's a rehab.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's a perfect candidate. Either I could even wholesale this.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm thinking, you know, this is the next property that I'm working on. I just sent her a note saying, is this still available? What do you know about it? I like to make an offer, etc. So this is a realtor that I'm working with that isn't just trying to sell the best in class. You know, you can see the home prices are all in the network price that I like.
Yeah, and she's investor friendly, as I like to say. She has some retail, right, ready to go retail, but then she has some of those properties that, you know, are right up the right fit within your criteria.
Yeah, like this one. I'll pass on this. This looks like a retail. I'm not going to waste my time.
Exactly.
But this one might have some opportunity right here, Winter Haven.
Exactly.
So that's the last. You know, I got a real estate investor. I got a contractor as partners. I'm using a virtual assistant. and I'm doing research myself, as well as I got realtors that know my game and want to work with me.
Absolutely.
Because I tell them, if I get the house, I'll use you to list it.
Right, exactly. And they're excited with that. They're like, you're going to do the purchase and the sale?
Yeah.
They're on board.
And the last thing I'm doing is I'm getting my real estate license. I'm starting classes next week. I figured I don't need these folks. I can do this myself.
But in essence, though, I like the way you were building relationships and delegating. But, I mean, move forward with that, man. It'll give you more access to data much quicker.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not recommended for everyone, but I know how you're very data driven, which is great. You know, it is great for you.
I try not to analysis by paralysis, but I want to make sure my number's right. Because if you miss up on the number, man, you're hurting for good.
Right. Absolutely. All right, Ralph. And I have two last personal questions for you. One, or maybe someone else is thinking this, but did you kill that thing that's on the wall there?
I was gonna be a comment. I hope no one's offended. That's a wild boar I'm a hunter, so I do hunting. So that's a wild boar that I got up in Upper Michigan.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, they're in Michigan. Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was heaven. And there's a story behind that you get. It's funny, but I had no idea to hunt this thing, and these things are as fast as a deer.
Right.
I mean, they're fast.
Wow, good for you.
But I didn't kill it not to eat it. I kept some of the meat, and I gave the meat to Salvation Army homeless. It wasn't a kill and ruin. I kept some of the meat, and I fed some poor people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've actually killed a deer one time myself. Well, I can't even say I killed it. I can't even say that. But basically, my only hunting experience was I was driving down a road. I saw a car hit this big deer, and I pulled over. The deer wasn't getting up, but it was still twitching towards the end of its death.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, my buddy goes to Maine and hunts for these things.
Oh yeah, I don't do it in preserves where they're all fenced. Right. I go out in the wild. I don't like that. I mean, I go out in the wild and search. You know what I mean? Right. Absolutely. But the other thing is, I'm a hockey fan, so you can see the Detroit.
No, that's my next question. I am a big hockey fan, so my next question was, who's your favorite team?
Well, the Red Wings, and then to the left, that little sign is the Pittsburgh Penguins. But you can see
I saw that, and I was very, very happy with that, man. A Pittsburgh Penguins fan since Lemieux, back in the day with Lemieux.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got Lemieux's stick right here, signed by Mario Lemieux.
Do you really?
Yeah, and I got a picture of him. It was painted. Probably worth about $1,800 of Mario Lemieux on the wall here.
Wow! Whenever
Can you see? Wait! Can you see it?
Oh my goodness, that is awesome!
This is like my man's cave, and then up here.
Nice.
Can you see the deer? Wait a minute. How do I get over there?
I don't see the deer. Where's the deer at?
You'll see him here in a minute. Here, wait. You see him?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Wow, that's so great.
And then over there is the sticks for Mario Lemieux in the corner.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's fantastic. If you ever plan on selling one of those sticks, you let me know.
All right, and then there's my favorite football player in my helmet in my days.
Nice. Oh, good for you, man. What a nice spot you got going on there.
It drives my wife crazy. She thinks I'm a nut with all this stuff.
I still have my stuff. I still do. I'm a big Jaromir Jagr fan.
Yeah.
Have been for years. When everybody told me he's not anything, he's horrible. Like, people would just joke on me. Like, he's horrible. I was like, oh, look who's number 2 now.
Yeah.
Look who's number 2.
Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much, Ralph, for jumping on here and sharing that. And I'm so happy about your success and everything you've been achieving. And I continue to look forward to working with you and answering questions, any help along the way. So thanks so much for taking this time also, because this is really going to inspire a lot of other people. Like I said, I got like over 25 people who are like ready and willing to listen and hear what you did. And you shared some really powerful things that I know sometimes people are lacking and they're not taking steps of action. So I really appreciate you sharing that and taking the time today.
Well, the going away message is never give up.
That's right.
Keep your head up and keep plugging away.
Absolutely, bud. I will. Good luck on your listing today and keep me updated on your success.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.